She was nothing, they said, until she became everything. In the dim glow of a city loft, a black interior designer, once celebrated for her artistry, stands frozen, clutching a sketchbook as her world crumbles. For 12 years, she poured her soul into a marriage, only to face betrayal, cruel taunts, and subtle racial slights that cut deeper than words. Mocked as too safe for high-end spaces, dismissed for her ambition, and cast out of her own home, she carries only her dreams and a single paintbrush into the night. Yet from this heartbreak, a spark ignites, a vision of a phoenix rising. Will she reclaim her fire and outshine those who scorned her? Subscribe to our channel for the latest stories of triumph and share where you're watching from in the comments. Stay to uncover how her quiet strength reshapes a world that underestimated her. In a sleek city loft glowing with the soft amber of twilight, Lena Harper stood at the heart of a home she'd woven with her own hands. The walls whispered her artistry, sketches framed in stark black, a hand-stitched throw pillow bursting with color, a vase of wilting peonies arranged with quiet hope. At 38, her warmth was tempered by weariness, her linen dress a quiet echo of dreams deferred. The table was set for two, candles casting flickering shadows, a half-finished phoenix sketch lying beside a plate. Lena checked her phone, her fingers pausing, the clock ticking 9:47 p.m. in the hushed loft. A text buzzed, sharp and cold. Check Nathan's Instagram. Her breath caught as the image loaded. Nathan, her husband of 12 years, 41, polished in a tailored blazer, laughing with Elise, 27, radiant in a sequined red dress, her hand bold on his arm. The caption stung, "Living the Dream." Lena's heart pounded, a slow, heavy drum. She gripped a candle, wax scalding her hand, unnoticed. "Not again," she whispered, her voice barely audible. For years she'd buried doubts, late nights, unfamiliar cologne, client dinners that stretched too long. She'd poured her soul into their marriage, designing their home, hosting Nathan's colleagues, dimming her painting dreams to fuel his ambitions. This image was a crack in her world, undeniable. She set the phone down, straightened the silverware with trembling hands, and waited, her face a mask of composure. At 10:32 p.m., the door swung open. Nathan strode in, tossing his jacket onto a chair, whiskey and strange cologne trailing him. His eyes, sharp and restless, slid past her. "Late meeting," he said, loosening his tie. "Don't start, Lena." She held up her phone, the screen blazing with truth. Her voice was steady, fighting to hold. "This is Elise, isn't it? You said she was just a junior designer." Nathan laughed, a cold sound that ricocheted off the loft's high ceilings. "She is a designer, and she's got fire you'll never have. 12 years, Lena, and you're still doodling birds, playing it safe. You're dragging me down." Her chest tightened, but she stood taller. "I built this home, Nathan. I propped up your firm when it was nothing. I gave up my art for you." He stepped closer, his smirk cruel. "You decorated a cage. Elise creates spaces people notice. You're predictable, always were." The door opened again. Elise entered, heels clicking like a countdown, her sequined dress catching the candlelight. Her smile was a blade. "Still playing housewife, Lena," she said, her voice laced with mockery. "This loft needs someone with real vision. You're too safe for places like this." The words carried a subtle venom, a jab at Lena's blackness, echoing slights she'd heard before, her style deemed unrefined for elite spaces. "This is my home," Lena said, her voice low but firm. "I designed every inch." Elise tilted her head, eyes gleaming. "Was it? It's a shrine to your failures. Nathan needs someone who lights up a room, not someone dimming it with outdated tastes." The veiled insult cut deep, a reminder of whispers that Lena didn't belong in their world. Nathan's gaze hardened. "Pack a bag, Lena. We're done. This isn't your place anymore." The words hit like a fist, stealing her breath. She searched his eyes for the man who'd once promised to frame her paintings, but found only indifference. Elise crossed her arms, her smile triumphant, as if she'd already claimed the loft, the life, the future. Lena's hands shook, but she refused to break. She walked to their bedroom, steps deliberate. The room felt alien, the bed of shared mornings, now a stranger's domain. She pulled a duffel bag from the closet, packing with care. A worn sketchbook of phoenixes and unfinished dreams, a frayed paintbrush, a silver locket from her mother, warm in her palm. She paused at the dresser, her wedding ring glinting. She slid it off, setting it down with a sharp clink that echoed like a full stop. It wasn't hers anymore, nor was this home. Lena returned to the living room, bag in hand. Nathan and Elise stood by the kitchen island, sharing wine she'd saved for their anniversary. Elise raised her glass in a mock toast. "To new beginnings," she said, her voice sweet with malice. Nathan clinked his glass, smirking. "To better things." Lena's throat tightened, but she held their gaze. "This isn't my place anymore," she said, her voice steady, "but you'll see what I can do." Nathan laughed, dismissive. "You'll fade away, Lena. You always do." Elise leaned closer, her tone cutting. "Run along. This world's too big for you." Lena turned, her bag heavy but her resolve heavier. The door closed with a soft click, final as a heartbeat's end. Outside, the city night was cool, streetlights casting long shadows. She stood on the sidewalk, breath visible, and glanced back at the loft's glowing windows. The Phoenix sketch left on the table was a promise she'd keep. She stepped into the darkness, her dreams clutched tight, ready to rise from betrayal's ashes. Lena stepped into the darkness, her dreams clutched tight. The Phoenix sketch a silent vow to rise from betrayal's ashes. In a dingy motel room, its flickering lamp casting jagged shadows on peeling wallpaper, Lena Harper sat on a creaking bed, her sketchbook open to a half-drawn phoenix, its wings bold but unfinished. At 38, her face bore the weight of loss, but her eyes burned with quiet resolve. She traced the sketch's lines, whispering, "This is my start." With a steady hand, she wrote in the margins, "Find work, paint again, stand tall." She underlined "stand tall," the words a lifeline in the stillness. The night was long, but as dawn painted the sky, Lena packed her bag, her mother's locket warm against her chest, ready to carve a new path from the ruins of her past. The city woke under a veil of gray, and Lena found refuge in a cramped studio apartment, its single window framing a narrow alley, the walls cracked but hers alone. Paid for with her dwindling savings, the space was a blank slate, claimed with a nod to a gruff landlord muttering, "No parties." She arranged her few belongings, bread, coffee, a pack of cheap pencils, on a wobbly table, her sketchbook the heart of the room. Pages spilled with phoenixes and bold designs for spaces she'd never dared create, each stroke a rebellion against the life she'd left. The silence was not heavy, it was a canvas, waiting for her colors to bring it to life. Lena took a job at a bustling bakery, its warmth a balm against the cold of betrayal. Her hands, once crafting elegant interiors, now kneaded dough, the rhythm steadying her heart. During breaks, she sketched on receipt paper, sweeping arches, vibrant murals, spaces that pulsed with energy. A regular, Rosa, a 46-year-old street artist with curly hair and paint-splattered jeans, noticed her work. "Your sketches have soul," Rosa said, her New York accent sharp and warm. "Why are you hiding them in a place like this?" Lena paused, charcoal smudging her fingers. "I stopped believing they were enough," she admitted, her voice soft. Rosa slid a flyer across the counter, her eyes alight. "Art fair next week. Design my booth? Show them what you're made of." Lena's pulse quickened, doubt flickering but fading. "I'll consider it," she said, tucking the flyer into her apron, its edges worn but promising. That evening in her studio, Lena pinned the flyer to the wall, its bold print a challenge. Her mother Diane called, her Midwestern voice sharp with judgment. At 62, Diane clung to tradition, her words heavy. "You're throwing away a good life, Lena. He's sorry. You need someone like him to keep you stable. Don't shame us." Lena gripped the phone, her resolve hardening. "I'm done living for others, Mom. I'm building my own life." She hung up, the quiet amplifying her words. Opening her sketchbook, she drew a phoenix, its wings wide, flames fierce against the page. Each stroke was defiance, a reclaiming of her fire. The bakery became her crucible. Lena sketched with fervor, designing Rosa's booth with reclaimed wood and a mural of soaring birds, each line a rejection of the too safe label. A customer, a man in his 50s with a pressed suit, glanced at her sketches while waiting for his latte. "Pretty good," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. "But high-end clients want a more polished look, something less bold." The words, cloaked as critique, stung with the familiar jab at her blackness, implying her style didn't fit their world. Lena's smile was tight, her voice firm. "My work stands on its own." The art fair burst with color and chaos, a kaleidoscope of voices and lights. Lena transformed Rosa's booth into a sanctuary, wooden frames draped with hand-painted fabric, a phoenix mural glowing behind vibrant street art. Visitors lingered, their murmurs carrying her name. "Who made this?" a young woman asked, her voice awed. Rosa grinned, pointing to Lena. "That's her. She's magic." Lena's heart raced, her stance taller. She registered Harper Art and Interiors, the name a quiet claim to her future. She rented a small warehouse studio, its concrete floors cold but brimming with potential. Her first client, a cafe owner from the fair, wanted a space that feels alive. Lena delivered. Bold patterns, warm lighting, a mural that drew crowds. The check was small, but hers, earned through her vision. In her studio, Lena set up a second-hand easel, painting late into the night. The phoenix grew, its wings sprawling across a canvas, each stroke a step away from the woman she'd been. She ignored the echoes of Nathan's sneer, Elise's taunts, the customer's doubt. She was no longer the one who dimmed her light. Rosa visited the bakery, her boots tracking paint. "You're not just designing, Lena," she said, her eyes gleaming. "You're building something eternal." Lena smiled, tracing her locket. "I'm only beginning." She closed her sketchbook, the phoenix within a vow unbroken. Beyond her window, the city thrummed, its lights beckoning her to rise higher. Beyond her window, the city thrummed, its lights a beacon urging Lena Harper to soar. In her warehouse studio, its concrete floors strewn with sketches, Lena stood before a canvas, her brush weaving a phoenix in blazing crimson and gold. At 38, her hands were steady, her eyes fierce with purpose, her blackness a quiet strength against the world's doubts. Harper Art and Interiors was no longer a flicker, but a flame, its name inked on contracts pinned to the wall. She traced the phoenix's wings, whispering, "This is my claim." The city's hum faded, replaced by the pulse of her ambition, each stroke a defiance of the past that tried to dim her light. Her days were a whirlwind of creation. She transformed a rundown jazz club into a vibrant space, its walls alive with hand-painted patterns that echoed the music's soul. A community center bloomed under her touch, its bold murals inviting warmth and pride. She hired Teo, a 25-year-old American with a quick wit and a knack for organization, his glasses perpetually slipping as he managed her growing schedule. "You're shaking things up, Lena," he said, taping a vendor list to the wall, his voice brimming with admiration. "This city's buzzing about you." She nodded, her locket warm against her chest, and dove back into her sketches, each design bolder than the last. Her work rippled through art circles, praised in local magazines for its vital energy. A boutique owner raved about her ability to craft spaces that drew crowds, her daring colors a magnet for life. But not all doors opened easily. At a pitch meeting, a gallery director in his 50s, his suit crisp, eyed her portfolio with a tight smile. "It's striking," he said, his tone measured, "but our clients lean toward timeless elegance, something more restrained." The word restrained carried a familiar sting, a subtle jab at her blackness, suggesting her vibrancy didn't fit their refined world. Lena's gaze held firm, her voice sharp but calm. "My work is the future. You'll see it soon." One night, sifting through old files in her studio, Lena found an email that stopped her heart. Dated years ago, it was from a curator declining her first solo show. "We were told you lacked depth per your husband's advice." Nathan's name burned on the screen, his betrayal deeper than his infidelity. He'd sabotaged her, his fear of her talent cloaked in a veiled slight at her cultural fit. Her hands trembled, rage surging as she reread the words. She slammed her laptop shut, her breath ragged and turned to her canvas. The phoenix flames grew jagged, each stroke a roar against the man who tried to bury her. "No one stops me now," she declared, her voice echoing in the empty space. The discovery fueled her fire. Lena worked with relentless focus, her designs sharper, her murals audacious. She landed a contract with the Nexus Gallery, a prestigious venue known for shaping legacies. It was her biggest challenge yet, to redesign the main hall with a phoenix mural as its soul. She sketched through sleepless nights, Teo brewing coffee as they planned lighting and textures. "This is your stage," he said, adjusting his glasses, his grin wide. "You're rewriting the game." Lena smiled, but the email's sting lingered. Nathan's betrayal, a shadow she'd eclipsed with her light. At a meeting with the gallery's sponsor, a silver-haired man in his mid-50s, Lena unveiled her vision. Sleek lines, warm glows, a phoenix mural that would command the space. He nodded, his smile thin. "It's ambitious," he said, his voice laced with doubt. "But our audience expects sophistication. Can you meet that standard?" The question, veiled as concern, echoed the prejudice she'd faced. Her boldness, her blackness, deemed too much for their elite circle. Lena leaned forward, her eyes unyielding. "I deliver beyond standards. Watch me." He blinked, caught off guard, and signed the contract, her name a challenge in ink. Across town, Nathan's firm, Harper Creative, crumbled. Clients abandoned him, citing his arrogance and soulless designs. Elise, his junior designer, grew distant, her eyes on wealthier prospects, her loyalty as thin as her gold dresses. Nathan sat in his office, his face haggard, scrolling through rejection emails. One mentioned L. Harper as the new standard, and he scoffed, oblivious to the truth, his empire sinking under his own weight. In her studio, Lena stood before her phoenix mural, its flames half-formed but fierce. She mixed paint, her heart a furnace, each stroke a rejection of Nathan's lies and the world's doubts. She hung a Nexus blueprint beside it, her name bold across the top. The city's skyline shimmered outside, a canvas of endless horizons. Lena knew with every line she painted, she was forging a legacy no one could extinguish. With every line she painted, Lena Harper forged a legacy that no one could extinguish. Her phoenix mural, a blazing testament to her unyielding spirit. In the Nexus Gallery, Lena stood in the shadows, her tailored black blazer a stark contrast to the radiant hall she'd crafted. At 38, her presence was a quiet force, her headset humming with final checks. The space pulsed with life, chandeliers casting golden warmth, her phoenix mural soaring across the main wall in vibrant crimson and amber, its wings drawing gasps from the crowd. Guests in sleek attire mingled, their murmurs praising the gallery's flawless beauty. Lena adjusted a light, her mother's locket glinting at her neck, and whispered, "This is my triumph." Tonight her name, L. Harper, would echo beyond whispers, a bold declaration of her reclaimed power. The gallery thrummed with anticipation, the air rich with cologne and ambition. Teo, her 25-year-old assistant, adjusted a spotlight, his glasses catching the glow, his voice low with excitement. "It's perfect, Lena. You've outdone them all." She nodded, her eyes sweeping the room, ensuring every detail, sculpted floral arrangements, gleaming floors, the mural's fiery hues, was impeccable. Rosa, the street artist with curly hair and paint-splattered boots, weaved through the crowd, her grin wide. "They're calling this the night of the season," she whispered, nudging Lena. "Your night." Lena's heart raced, steady but fierce, knowing this was her moment to shine. Nathan entered, his suit loose on a frame worn by failure, his face etched with strain. Beside him, Elise, radiant in a shimmering gold dress, clung to his arm, her eyes scanning for wealthier prospects. Unaware Lena was the architect of the event, they moved with desperate purpose. Elise hissed, "Find L. Harper. She's our only chance to save your firm." Nathan nodded, his jaw clenched, his confidence eroded by lost clients and mounting debts. He approached a curator, his voice tight. "Who's behind this?" The curator, sipping champagne, smiled. "L. Harper. She makes spaces come alive." Nathan's brow furrowed, the name a thorn he couldn't place. Teo, oblivious to Lena's past, chatted with Elise near a sculpture, his enthusiasm unguarded. Elle Harper's the mastermind here, he said, adjusting his glasses. She's unstoppable. Elise's smile froze, her eyes narrowing. Elle Harper? You mean Lena? She turned to Nathan, her voice sharp. It's your ex-wife. Nathan's glass trembled, wine spilling as he stared at the Phoenix mural, its fiery wings echoing sketches he'd once scorned. His breath hitched, the truth a tidal wave. He pushed through the crowd, his face ashen, searching for her. Lena stepped onto a small platform, the spotlight finding her. The room fell silent, all eyes on her. Her voice was clear, resonant, slicing through the hush. Good evening, I'm Elle Harper. This gallery, this mural, this night, it's my soul on these walls. A year ago, I was called nothing, my vision too bold for their world. Tonight, I'm the name you can't stop whispering. The crowd erupted in applause, a thunder that shook the hall. Nathan's glass shattered on the marble floor, the sound lost in the roar. Elise stepped back, her gaze darting to a wealthy gallery owner, her loyalty already shifting. Nathan shoved forward, his voice cracking. You can't do this, Lena. I made you. The crowd gasped, heads turning. Lena's gaze met his, unyielding, her locket gleaming. You tried to bury me, she said, her words calm but razor sharp. I rose. He collapsed to his knees, his suit crumpled, his voice raw. I canceled your show. I was scared you'd eclipse me. Please, Lena, I'm nothing without you. The confession hung heavy, the crowd murmuring in shock. Elise turned away, her arm now linked with the gallery owner, her laugh cutting as she abandoned Nathan. A guest whispered, She's too much for a place like this, isn't she? Rosa overheard, her voice firm. She owns this place. The lead sponsor, a silver-haired man in his 50s, stepped forward, his expression stern. Your firm's finished, Nathan, he said. Elle Harper is our future. The crowd's murmurs swelled, their admiration for Lena soaring, their disdain for Nathan Sharp. Lena looked down at him, her voice soft but resolute. You called me worthless. I built this without you. She stepped back, the Phoenix mural blazing behind her, its flames a symbol of her victory. The applause roared again, a wave of affirmation. Lena handed the microphone to the curator, Teo, and Rosa falling into step beside her. Nathan remained on the floor, shoulders shaking, his empire in ruins. Elise's laughter echoed from the gallery owner's side, her betrayal complete. Lena walked toward the exit, her head high, her heart full. The city's lights beckoned outside, a promise of new horizons. She had claimed her place, her fire unquenchable, her legacy carved in every stroke of the mural that defined the night. The Art Center project was her boldest yet. Lena envisioned a space where creativity could thrive. Bright studios, communal murals, a stage for young voices. She worked tirelessly, sketching vibrant layouts and sourcing local materials. Teo, her 25-year-old assistant, buzzed with energy, his glasses slipping as he coordinated vendors. This place is going to change lives, Lena, he said, taping a schedule to the wall. Rosa, the street artist, dropped by, her paint-splattered boots tracking color. You're not just designing a building, she said, her New York accent sharp. You're giving kids a future. Lena nodded, her heart swelling, but the weight of the task pressed heavy. She had to prove her vision could bridge communities. Her client, a wealthy philanthropist in his 60s, presented the first hurdle. At a meeting in his sleek office, he leaned back, his eyes appraising. Your portfolio's impressive, Miss Harper, he said, his tone polished but cool. But this center serves a diverse crowd. Can you really connect with them? The word diverse landed like a subtle jab, a veiled doubt about her blackness, implying she might not fit the mold of universal appeal. Lena's smile was steady, her voice firm. I connect through art. It speaks louder than assumptions. He raised an eyebrow, unconvinced but nodded, his signature on the contract a reluctant green light. Lena threw herself into the project, her passion a shield against doubt. At the Art Center site, she met Aisha, a 17-year-old black artist with raw talent and guarded eyes. Aisha's sketches, bold but hesitant, echoed Lena's own early work. I don't know if I'm good enough, Aisha admitted, clutching her notebook. Lena knelt beside her, her voice gentle. I was told I wasn't enough too. But you create from here, she said, touching her heart. That's your power. She invited Aisha to contribute to the center's mural, a phoenix rising over a cityscape, its wings a symbol of hope. Aisha's brushstrokes grew confident, her doubts fading under Lena's guidance. The work wasn't without resistance. A local critic, writing for a city blog, questioned the boldness of Lena's designs, suggesting they might overwhelm the community. A subtle echo of past slights that her style was too much for certain spaces. Lena read the review in her studio, her jaw tight, then turned to her canvas, painting the phoenix's flames brighter. They'll see, she said, her brush fierce. She coordinated with local artists, ensuring the center reflected the community's spirit, each detail a testament to her vision. One evening, an unexpected email arrived from Nathan. His firm, Harper Creative, was on its last legs, and he proposed a partnership to leverage Lena's success. We could rebuild together, he wrote, his tone a mix of desperation and charm. Lena stared at the screen, the memory of his betrayal sharp, his sabotage of her first show, his cruel dismissal. She typed a reply, her words concise. I built this alone. I'll keep it that way. She hit send, her heart light, her independence a fortress no one could breach. The Arts Center neared completion, its walls alive with color. Lena's Phoenix mural dominated the main hall, its wings sprawling, each feather a story of renewal. At a preview event, community leaders and youth gathered, their voices filling the space with awe. Aisha stood beside Lena, her own sketch added to the mural's edge. You made me believe I could do this, Aisha said, her eyes bright. Lena smiled, her locket glinting. You always could. The philanthropist approached, his earlier skepticism gone. You've done something extraordinary, he admitted, his voice softer. Lena nodded, her gaze on the mural, its flames a mirror of her own. As the event ended, Lena stood alone before the phoenix, its light casting her shadow long. The city's skyline glowed outside, a canvas of endless futures. She had built more than a center. She had ignited a spark for others, her legacy a fire that would burn on. Lena had ignited a spark for others, her Phoenix mural a radiant symbol of renewal that burned beyond the Arts Center's walls. Under a vast city sky, Lena Harper stood on a balcony overlooking a glittering skyline, her breath steady, her vision boundless. At 38, her blackness was her crown, her name, L. Harper, a beacon in the art world. An invitation had arrived, a keynote address at a national art conference, a chance to inspire a new generation. Lena clutched her locket, its warmth a reminder of her mother's strength, and whispered, This is for us. The city's lights pulsed below, each one a story waiting to be told, urging her to carry her fire to a larger stage. The conference hall buzzed with energy, a sea of artists and curators from across the country. Lena, in a sleek emerald dress, prepared her speech, her sketchbook filled with Phoenix-inspired notes. Teo, her assistant, adjusted his glasses, grinning. You're gonna light this place up, he said, organizing her slides. Rosa, her street artist friend, nodded, her paint-splattered jacket bold in the crowd. Speak your truth, Lena. They need it. Lena smiled, her heart steady, but the weight of the moment pressed. Her story would be a mirror for others. A prominent critic, a woman in her 50s with a sharp gaze, approached Lena backstage. Your work's bold, she said, her tone cool, but some question its authenticity. Can it resonate broadly? The word authenticity stung, a veiled jab at Lena's blackness, implying her voice was too niche for the mainstream. Lena's eyes held firm. Art resonates when it's true. Mine is. The critic raised an eyebrow, unconvinced, but Lena turned away, her resolve unshaken. On stage, Lena faced a diverse crowd of young artists, their faces eager but uncertain. She shared her journey, betrayal, rebirth, the phoenix that rose from her pain. Your voice is your power, she told them, her voice resonant. Don't let anyone dim it. A young artist, mirroring Lena's early doubts, asked, What if they say I don't belong? Lena leaned forward, her locket catching the light. You belong where you create. Build your space. The crowd erupted, their applause a wave of affirmation. Her installation, unveiled at the conference, was a phoenix sculpted from recycled glass, its wings refracting light into rainbows. It stood as a symbol of collective resilience, drawing gasps from the audience. A group of young artists gathered around Lena afterward, their sketches in hand, inspired to claim their own paths. "You made me see I can do this," one said, her eyes bright. Lena nodded, her heart full, her legacy growing through their courage. An unexpected message came from Nathan, a letter delivered to her hotel. "I was wrong," he wrote, his words heavy with regret. "I see your light now. Can we talk?" Lena read it under the hotel's dim lamp, the sting of his past sabotage sharp. She wrote back, her words firm, "My light shines without you." She sealed the envelope, her independence a fortress. At the conference's close, Lena stood before her Phoenix installation, its glass wings glowing. The skyline sparkled beyond, a canvas of endless dreams. She had not only risen but lifted others, her fire a beacon for those to come. As Lena Harper's Phoenix mural lights up the Nexus Gallery, her journey from betrayal to triumph shows us that resilience can forge an unbreakable legacy. What moved you most? Her quiet strength, her blazing comeback, or the fall of those who doubted her? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. Your voice keeps these stories burning bright. We're deeply grateful for every moment you've spent with us, immersed in Lena's rise from ashes to artistry. Your support fuels our mission to share tales of courage and Black excellence. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to catch every new story of triumph. Until we meet again, keep rising, keep creating, and let's reunite for the next chapter of inspiration. Thank you for joining our community.